It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft, alongside Kevin McIntosh. Kevin, we've made it to Friday, and, well, it's already been a very exciting week. Only going to get more exciting as we head into the weekend.
Yes, Tyler. Thank you again for another great day, another great opportunity. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about what's going on in West Bloomfield as we head into the weekend. Let's go.
Yeah, a lot of local connections to the biggest story in town, Oakland University winning its first round matchup in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, defeating number 3 Kentucky, Oakland being a 14 seed. The Golden Grizzlies winning that ball game 80-76. Jack Golke from the Grizz helped them win that game with 10 3-pointers last night, one away from the individual game record in NCAA tournament history. And Kevin, so many local connections to this because not only did the Grizzlies win last night and now making big news in the NCAA tournament, we had Orchard Lake St. Mary's winning a state title last weekend, and now West Bloomfield Lakers girls varsity basketball is going to have their chance back at the Breslin Center beginning this afternoon with a big rematch against the Rockford Rams.
Listen, man, as of right now, it just seems like everything that's happening within Oakland County, and specifically in the greater West Bloomfield area, is just hitting on all cylinders when it comes to sports. Specifically right now, basketball, man. I cannot believe Oakland got that win yesterday, Tyler. What is going on?
We were talking about this a little bit before the show, a little inside splash. Kevin and I talked about this yesterday. Like, could they do it? Yeah, a lot of things are going to have to go right, and everything that we had said in that conversation that had to go right for Oakland ended up going right. Once again, Civic Center TV, the good luck charm for these local teams looking to win some titles nationally and locally. A lot more fun. We'll have full coverage of the West Bloomfield Lakers and their campaign for a state championship. All begins today. The semifinals for 2024, a rematch of the 2023 finals. West Bloomfield Lakers, Rockford Rams, the Breslin Center in East Lansing. We'll have coverage for you before, during, and after the game on our YouTube page at Civic Center TV, and on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Also check us out for some of the most important elements of that coverage on civiccentertv.com. Lots of fun indoors and outdoors all throughout the spring season, and it all kicked off with West Bloomfield Parks at their annual Egg Scramble as kids got outside, ran around, got some special prizes along the way. Reporter Jake Schaff from our team has the story.
While the weather might not necessarily show it today, spring is definitely in season, which can only mean that Easter is right around the corner. And West Bloomfield Parks today held their second annual Egg Scramble event, complete with a train, a petting zoo, even a visit from Mr. Bunny. It was a great way for families and especially kids to get a nice early taste of the Easter season.
We have our Egg Scramble event here at WB Parks. So this is our second year with this version of our egg hunt program or event. So essentially we have an egg hunting area for both toddlers as well as our school age kiddos, and then we have a petting zoo that's here as well as our trackless train rides, and then we have a number of sponsors that are providing giveaways as well. So we have a lot going on in our cool nature table, which is behind me as well, giving out some nature facts. The difference between the egg hunt and the egg scramble is more of a scavenger hunt, I would say. So we give out 10 halves to our school age kiddos, and then they go out in the field and search for the other half and try to match them together, and then they go and hand them in to Mr. Bunny, and then they get their goodie bag.
It's been an excellent experience thus far. I really like how the kids have to match the eggs up. It lets them use their minds a little bit, and then when they put the eggs together, the fine motor skills involved in that, it's fantastic for the kids. It's a wonderful way to get people out of their homes and out in the community and meet each other and, just have fun with kids.
Is an event like this a nice reminder that spring is on the way, despite obviously the colder than usual weather?
Yes, for sure. It's definitely, we're looking forward to the spring for sure, but this did not stop a number of people coming out to enjoy our egg hunt event. I think my favorite part is probably the little kiddos kind of experiencing for the first time our egg hunt event. I think that it's cool to kind of see their faces trying to hunt and find little eggs and toddle around. So I really enjoy watching the kiddos because they usually come kind of dressed up in their little bunny ears and stuff like that. I feel like this hunt is super inclusive. We allow for all basically generations to kind of come together and hang out. I always see not only just the parent-child dynamic, but also grandparents come, uncle, aunts, cousins. So it's cool family affair for everyone that wants to kind of enjoy it and come out and hang out together.
So much fun and so many memories to be made here today with West Bloomfield Parks. Here's hoping the kids have some fun, but let's hope they don't get too sick of candy already for when the Easter Bunny visits very, very soon. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
So much fun out at Marshbank Park with our friends over at West Bloomfield Parks. Kevin, a great way to get the kids outside as the weather tries to get a little bit nicer throughout the coming weeks, and great opportunities. Get your kids some engagement with a lot of these egg scrambles happening throughout the town. You talked to someone from English Gardens earlier on in the week about that. We know Kegel Harbor's got theirs coming up. That's always exciting. It's done in 5 minutes. It's so exciting. The kids are always so energetic. A great way to get kids inspired and into the season.
No, as a parent myself, I love the fact that the parents were saying that, you know, it helped with the sensories of the children. They were given the activity of matching the eggs to kind of help with some type of brain development with that. Also, I love to see and hear that and it seemed like it was a great turnout too, which I like, despite the weather. Even though spring is here, the weather hasn't necessarily, came here yet. It's like somebody telling you, I'm pulling up now, but they're still down the street. Like, you're not here yet.
It's Michigan. It's either early, it's late, or it's on time and teasing you. That's how it works with Mother Nature in the state of Michigan. But always lots of fun at West Bloomfield Parks. Plenty of other fun events coming up. wbparks.org for more information on all of West Bloomfield Parks' events and initiatives all throughout the community for children, adults, families, seniors, and beyond. Just down the road in Orchard Lake Village at the Polish Institute of Culture and Research, a restoration of history and a look into some important garments from Polish history, as well as our friends at the Polish Institute opened their brand new Galeria. I had a chance to go out there and join them for their first big event in the newly renovated building. For hundreds of years, buildings like this have stood valiantly in our community. For the Galeria at Orchard Lake Schools, this begins a new era, celebrating art and tradition in the heart of Orchard Lake.
We're doing a soft opening for our Galeria space here, this building that we're situated in presently, which has been renovated for the last 2 years since the pandemic. The building that we're standing in here has almost a 150-year history. Part of the military academy, it served roles as a chapel, a dining hall, even an athletic center. So really, we're so fortunate that its storied past has now led us to be this bastion of culture.
The Galeria will serve as a display for fine art, while also hosting special events like this, Blooms of Tradition, a fashion show celebrating traditional Polish wares, and organized by Aleksandra Lisiecki, a locally born woman fiercely dedicated to preserving her beloved heritage.
I create contemporary designs inspired by Polish folklore. I wanted to find a way to celebrate my Polish heritage. And so I came up with this concept to create very modern designs using Polish folk fabrics.
That's how her company, Recultured Designs, was born, and her fashion show, Blooms of Tradition, blossomed. For Reese McNutt, it was a chance for a young woman making her own history as part of the first girls graduating class at St. Mary's to connect with her family history and with other women who hold their heritage just as dear.
It was very cool. I had no idea what this was going to be going into it. And this was honestly probably one of my favorite nights of my life. It was very special to be around so many women who are so in tune with their Polish heritage and their Polish culture. And just to get to talk to them and see what their backgrounds are and listen to everyone speak Polish, I think it was very cool that we're representing our Polish culture.
Recultured Designs, the Polish Institute, and Blooms of Tradition all came together to connect past and present to a vibrant future of Polish culture in Orchard Lake and beyond.
The Polish people have been here for ages, and we're so immensely grateful for the sacrifices and the contributions that they made to set up the Orchard Lake schools. Initially, because now we're stewards of everything that they had put forward for us.
I think it's so important that we remember the past, but we also find new creative ways of celebrating the past.
So great to be out there and enjoy the soft opening of their Galleria. Still some fine tuning to do over there in order for them to have that space fully open and ready as needed in order to run that facility as they intend for the future. But a 100-plus-year-old building being restored on the campus of Orchard Lake Schools. For more information on all of their programs, you can visit picrol.org. It is Severe Weather Awareness Week. As we get into the spring, we get closer and closer to big storm season, and it can affect our community in a number of ways. And part of the way that we help prepare ourselves for severe weather is through partnerships with local organizations who are on the forefront of forecasting and alerting us when severe weather is on its way. Joining us now from the National Weather Service and their Pontiac, Detroit office is Rich Pullman, Warning Coordination Meteorologist. Rich, thank you for being with us.
Oh, happy to join you and happy to talk about severe weather preparedness.
Yeah, it's a really important topic, especially this time of the year. And granted, we're really early on into the spring, but the spring transition is part of what kind of brings on this severe weather. Because in Michigan, you've got all 4 seasons. Half of the year is cold. Half of the year it can be extremely warm and humid. And so how does that transition, how does that dichotomy create kind of the perfect situation for severe weather during this time of the year, and especially in the summer?
Yeah, so for our thunderstorms to form, we really do need that warm, moist, humid air clashing with the storm systems that move through the Great Lakes region periodically, every third or fourth day. And so in the springtime, that's when we start to see the first signs of that warm and more humid air arriving in the state. This week of Severe Weather Awareness Week has been a little chillier than average, but we have certainly seen some warm weather already this year. And those intrusions of the warm, unstable air are going to be more commonplace as we go through the springtime. And then, once we get into the summertime, we almost always have that warm, moist, unstable air in place. We just need something to act on it to trigger our thunderstorms. And so we wait for those cold fronts or an upper level piece of energy in the atmosphere to trigger those thunderstorms in the summertime. In the springtime, it takes a little bit more of everything coming together because we don't always get into that warm, unstable air in April. But when we do, we can run the risk of severe weather in any month of the season.
And we kind of slid by this earlier on in our conversation a moment ago that, Severe Weather Awareness Week is early on in March. It's in the middle of March, and that's early on in the severe weather season. But that doesn't mean we're unfamiliar to some severe weather, including those major storms this time of the year. Just weeks ago, we had tornadoes touch down in multiple areas of the state of Michigan. So why particularly, especially from your angle at the National Weather Service, is this time of the year the time to start being hyper aware of severe weather?
Yeah, for our part of the state of Michigan, you really start to see an increase in the threat of severe weather once we get to April. And so we want to prepare before that ramp up in April. But it doesn't preclude us from having severe weather any month of the year. If we get the right conditions, we have seen severe weather in the wintertime, December, January, and February. We saw the Grand Blanc and the Marshall tornadoes on February 27th and 28th of this year. So if you have that warm, moist, unstable air, you have a strong storm system, you can trigger severe weather even in the month of February. But we year over year, we really start to see the ramp up in April. So we use March as our month to prepare for severe weather before we get into the season in April. We reach our peak in June and July in the state of Michigan. And so we really want to be prepared as we head into the spring, late spring, and into the first half of the summer, especially.
Rich Pullman's with us, warning coordination meteorologist with the National Weather Service's office in Detroit and Pontiac, located in White Lake. Find more information on our local weather, including information on severe weather awareness, weather.gov/DTX. And you can even put in your zip code on that website for even more hyper-localized information about severe weather. And Rich, as we get closer to the major portion of the severe weather season, as you mentioned, it kind of ramps up in April, and then it's certainly at a peak throughout the middle of the summer. When does that process of being aware of the severe weather and starting to prepare our local area begin, when we have some potential for severe weather in the forecast?
So when we are expecting a severe weather event, we have our severe weather outlooks issued daily. It goes out for 8 days from our Storm Prediction Center, and our local office will help relay that information, and we'll put out information through social media and on our website about that threat of severe weather, just sort of as an outlook to review those plans, make sure you know what the forecast is, to pay attention to that particular day's forecast as we get closer and closer to that. Then on the day of severe weather, we also have the outlook for the first day of the forecast. That might come out in the early morning hours, an updated outlook. And then as we get closer in the afternoon and evening, when the severe weather threat's really going to hit, we will issue a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch in advance of that storm. The watch is going to be issued about 2 to 6 hours in advance of severe weather. And so that's the time for sort of final preparations, review those severe weather plans, maybe just touch base with your family, with your coworkers, make sure everybody knows what those plans are, so that when a warning is issued, you can take action right away.
And from your side, at the National Weather Service, how important in this process is partnership, both at the federal and state level, but also at the county and hyper-local level as you're forecasting this severe weather?
Yeah, we work all the time with our government partners, especially in the emergency management community. On the federal level, it's going to be with FEMA, but really most of our partnerships with preparedness and getting the word out about severe thunderstorm watches and tornado watches, and then the action that's needed when warnings are issued. Those partnerships are really with the local and county, and to some extent also the state emergency management programs. And so the emergency management program is responsible for preparedness on all hazards, whether they're natural or some man-made hazards. But we work specifically, obviously, with the weather hazards, with our local county and local emergency managers.
And when you're working with those local and beyond emergency managers, what is that process like as you're getting updated forecasts and that information's coming in, and you kind of start to understand the pattern of that severe weather as it goes toward a potential target area?
Yeah, so we communicate with them all the time, whether it's prior to the season with meetings ahead of the season to talk about severe weather preparedness, any new information streams that we might have at the National Weather Service. And then leading up to that, as we have all those outlooks that you can see on the web pages, and you see the local media talking about the severe weather outlooks, we are sending specific partner messages to those government partners, especially in the emergency management community, to highlight the particular day's threat. And in those messages, we might get a little bit more specific about what the threat is for wind, hail, tornadoes, and try to put it into context for Southeast Michigan so that those emergency managers can prepare their community for what the impending weather is going to be.
Rich Pullman is with us, warning coordination meteorologist with the National Weather Service's Detroit Pontiac office out of White Lake. You can find more information on severe weather and, of course, daily weather updates for your local area, weather.gov/DTX. That will give you an overview for the Detroit area, and then you have an option to put in your specific zip code or zip codes you may be frequenting during that particular day or period of days for even more localized information. Very important resource as we are recognizing Severe Weather Awareness Week and are in the severe weather season here in the state of Michigan. Rich, over the past couple of seasons, both in our fall and especially in this past winter season, we've had some unseasonable weather patterns too. We've had several periods of very warm days, including some 60s and 70s toward the tail end of the winter, and not just in isolated periods, but for even full week or 2 week long lengths. How are those kind of odd weather patterns from a layman's perspective maybe factoring into what the National Weather Service and other partners of the Weather Service are looking at as we get towards severe weather season? Because like you said, those patterns have to be, those conditions have to be perfect with a certain amount of warm weather and moisture in order to create that severe weather.
Yeah, so you're right. We had our warmest winter that anyone alive remembers in Southeast Michigan. You really have to go back to at least 1931 or maybe even into the 1800s to have a winter that was warmer than our winter that we had just this past 3-4 months. And that was all caused by a very strong El Nino. And that El Nino pattern is actually going to be weakening through the spring, but our forecast for the spring is actually a continuation of the much above normal temperatures. The one thing that is also in the forecast is below normal likelihood for precipitation. So we do need both of those things, the heat and the moisture, to come together. And so while we might see a continuation of this pattern of well above normal temperatures into the spring, there's probably a little bit of a question about how often we're going to get into the moisture pattern to help form the thunderstorm. So we're kind of conditionally set up for some active weather this spring, but we're just going to have to see how the heat and that moisture, with maybe a cold front moving through lower Michigan, how that all teams up to potentially produce any severe weather as we get into April, May, and June.
And given those conditions, what sort of work is being done by the National Weather Service, or what resources are available through the National Weather Service for people to understand how severe weather can affect our local area, how these patterns and the communication from the National Weather Service and local authorities come together, and especially ways they can be prepared to prevent any harm to themselves, their families, their homes when severe weather is in the forecast?
Yeah, so for Severe Weather Awareness Week, we're putting information out on social media. We also have our webpage for Michigan's Severe Weather Awareness Week with links to all the information, both on a local level for the state of Michigan, but also through the National Weather Service's national safety page that talks about all sorts of severe weather preparedness. It's really about coming up and developing a plan for your home, a place where you work. Certainly schools develop their severe weather plans, review those plans, and then the most important thing is to get that weather information, whether it's through your cell phones, through local media, radio, television, internet sources, and the weather radio also can be a key component to that. The important thing with a warning that you might get is that I have backup systems. Get the warning multiple ways, because you never know when maybe a cell tower goes down, you lose power, you can't access your television. So you want to have backup ways, multiple ways to receive that warning. If you're sleeping in the middle of the night, a cell phone warning may wake you up, may not, but a weather radio is as loud as a smoke detector. And if we issue a tornado warning at 3 a.m., you can wake up your family, get your family to a place of safety and shelter within your home. So you want to have multiple ways to get that warning, just in case one system suffers from the effects of the storm itself.
More information, weather.gov/DTX. At the top of that screen, you'll see news headlines and a Michigan Severe Weather Awareness Week headline there. Click on that. So many resources, so much information that you can find for Severe Weather Awareness Week and beyond. Weather.gov/DTX. Rich Pullman is with us, warning coordination meteorologist at the National Weather Service's Detroit Pontiac office out of White Lake here in our local area. Rich, there's so many other ways, too, that people can get involved in our community on the front lines that can help the National Weather Service and other resources locally, countywide, statewide, and federally during severe weather season, particularly becoming a Skywarn spotter. We got some trainings coming up, too.
Yeah, during the springtime, and we prepare for severe weather season by training spotters. And we do that through the months of March, April, and May. There are some virtual options. There are some in-person options across Southeast Michigan. So yeah, go to our website and see what training class works best for you. But we are looking for those volunteers. So the radars and satellite systems, they're great at depicting the threat of severe weather, but they're looking at that threat of severe weather inside the thunderstorm, and the radar beam cannot see below the cloud base to the ground. So while we see that there's large hail in the storm, we don't know if that large hail is falling down as a 1-inch hailstone or a golf ball size or maybe baseball size hail. And so the spotter helps us verify the hail signature in the radar. Wind is even harder to determine inside the storm with the radar. We can see some wind signatures, but is that wind signature reaching the ground, or is it capped at 3,000 feet in the storm? And so the spotter will help us know what the wind gust estimate is. Are there any trees coming down? And then finally, we can see the rotation in the low level of the cloud base with a rotating thunderstorm that might produce a tornado. The spotter will help us by telling us if they see a funnel cloud or a tornado when the funnel actually touches the ground and causes damage. And so they can be our first eyes and ears for that threat of a tornado. And so by giving us those reports, they help the warning system, because we want to have all the warnings out before the storm hits. So you would have a warning hopefully out before you see the tornado as a spotter. But that report can help us and educate us as we warn for the next county over. And so that helps our warning process, not only for your community, but all the communities around you.
And that goes back to those partnerships that we talked about earlier on with the National Weather Service's offices all throughout the state of Michigan, their local and county partnerships in helping to forecast storms before they get to areas that will later be affected, like us here in Oakland County. Rich Pullman's with us from the National Weather Service's Detroit Pontiac office on today's edition of the Splash Live as we recognize Severe Weather Awareness Week. Rich, anything else that would be important for our audience to keep in consideration at this time as they also recognize Severe Weather Awareness Week?
Well, I think the main thing is just to have those multiple ways to get the warning and really listen to the forecast, know when we have the threat of severe weather, and then rely on those severe weather plans that you have already made. Just review those severe weather plans when we have our severe weather threat later in the summer. This is the time to make those plans so that if a warning is issued later in the year, you can immediately act on it. You don't have to think about where do I need to go in my home, where I'm at work, where's the tornado shelter. So we just want to make sure that you make those plans now so that when a warning is issued, you can act on it right away and get your family, your coworkers, all to a place of safety.
So many resources available through our local authorities, including the National Weather Service. Rich, thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, always happy to help. Thanks for inviting me on.
Appreciate having you on for your insight. As we recognize Severe Weather Awareness Week in the state of Michigan, we had a statewide siren test earlier on this week. You're going to start hearing those sirens monthly on the first Saturday of the month at 1 o'clock. That is a great time to test your readiness, to test your speed and your effectiveness in getting from point A to point Z in your home or wherever you're at to get to safety in the event of severe weather. Always best to treat those sirens and any other warnings as if it is the real live, real deal event each and every time. More information, weather.gov/DTX. DTX. And Kevin, as we recognize Severe Weather Awareness Week, that awareness part, the biggest factor in there is education. The more you know about this stuff, the better you can prepare yourself. Always great to talk to resources like the National Weather Service.
No, see, the best thing to do is always have a plan. Most importantly, see, you don't want to wait until something happens to wish that you had a plan. You want to plan in advance. So make sure you think about the worst case scenarios, even though you don't want to. Think about and plan and prepare for the worst case scenarios for yourself and your household.
We are keeping you aware as well. CivicCenterTV.com. You'll be able to see our conversation with Rich on demand all throughout the evening and forevermore as you prepare for Severe Weather Awareness Week, both in 2024 and the years ahead as well. CivicCenterTV.com. We also talked earlier on this week with Kevin Sadage from Oakland County Emergency Management, as he also helped to get them all prepared for severe weather awareness, and talked about those partnerships, talked about what the county does in communication with the National Weather Service and with local authorities in order to get them ready for the severe weather season, and ways that you can provide yourself with resources from them as well. CivicCenterTV.com/on-demand for on-demand, or click on demand on CivicCenterTV.com for even more information. And that's a great way to keep yourself aware as we head into severe weather season here in the state of Michigan. As Rich said, really starts to pick up in the month of April. Lots of fun happening at West Bloomfield High School, including in the theater. They are hard at work getting ready for their next production, Kevin, as they get ready for a production of Mamma Mia, some ABBA favorites coming to West Bloomfield High School very soon.
Yes. See, I see that they had this production, Mamma Mia, coming, bringing the beloved ABBA favorites to West Bloomfield High School. And this is in April. Joining us to talk a little bit more about it is Amelia Duffield, who plays Donna, and Reginald Hayes, who plays Sky. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So first and foremost, can we get into what drew you both into wanting to audition for Mamma Mia, and then what excites you for portraying your individual character?
For sure. Well, this will be, I think, my it's been a long time, 8th or 9th production at the high school. So I definitely wanted to do my senior musical because I'm a musical fan myself. And Mamma Mia was actually the first musical I ever saw when I was 7 years old. So I was feeling like double nostalgic. So I definitely had to audition. And for my particular role, that's just always been just a dream of mine to play Donna in Mamma Mia, but that's, unrelated. I also just love musicals with a strong female narrative. And there's this really tender moment between the mother and the daughter at the end. So I'm super excited.
I wanted to do this because I fell in love with the theater community, and hearing that we had another musical that I knew of, Mamma Mia, and I was actually intrigued by the storyline. This would be my second musical and my second show at West Bloomfield High School, and playing the role of Sky. I like showing his adversity and showing how he can be really goofy, but can switch it in a moment, because he has a very, very angry scene. That's what I really like this character, because he's very similar to me.
Very similar to you. Great question. Great response. Yeah, this is great to hear and great to see. So you, Amelia, you saying this being like your 8th, or you say you can't even count your multiple production you've been a part of. Reginald, you say this being your second, and how you've two come together to bring your characters alive, and how we can see the passion in both of you as you speak about both of your characters and being involved with them. But this whole production does involve, like we said, the iconic soundtrack of ABBA, if I'm even saying that name right. How do you individually both speak on it? How do you plan to interpret these iconic songs and bring out the best essence of your character?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of a little bit of a daunting task because you have all these people that know how iconic this soundtrack
Mhm.
is, and you want to do your best to interpret that. And there's definitely some challenge with that, but at the same time, we all love ABBA and we're so excited. And I think that it's drawing such a just positive feelings from the whole community and like everyone at the high school. If you tell them you're doing Mamma Mia, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love ABBA!" And like, it's just this iconic sound, you know. And I think that we're all having the best time with it. So, in terms of interpreting it, I think that the book and the or the script rather made it really, really easy to feel those emotions of that character, do your best acting, but have a heck of a time learning these songs for sure.
And I love these songs too. And interpreting it, we probably have the best director that's given us the best tips to portray it as like portray it the best way we can. And
Mhm.
listening to the music outside of the soundtrack and the book, I actually enjoyed the songs. Like songs seem like I would just listen to the songs. Like even if I wasn't in the musical, I would just listen to the songs. Like I enjoyed all of it.
No, I get it. They have some classics. I was just listening to it, like Mamma Mia, and I was like, man, this is It's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe, and it's going to be a great show when you are actually on stage and get to actually put these songs into life. And we're talking to Amelia Duffield and Reginald Hayes, who plays Donna and Sky respectively, in the upcoming production Mamma Mia at West Bloomfield High School in April. By the way, so Reginald, with you specifically, let's ask you this question. The complex relationship between Donna and Sky in this musical, how do you navigate the emotional dynamics between your characters, and what insights have you gained from portraying your role specifically?
So between did you mean Donna and Sophie or Donna and Sky?
Is it Donna? Is it? I might have it, but I might have it incorrect. Excuse me. But between your character and your love interest on the production, how do you actually navigate that complex relationship?
Well, at first it was very difficult trying to show that relationship and show those that love interest because it's very new to me. But
Hmm.
I've started to adapt to having emotional connection with the character and getting to know the person outside of theater and just becoming more comfortable with them. It's really helped open up the acting room for me. And portraying that, it can be sometimes where it can be kind of um kind of I would say more of a question of how we want this to be portrayed, how we want their relationship to be portrayed. So, do
Right.
we want more of a goofy relationship or more of a serious relationship? And I feel like from the tips of our directors and the great actors around me, I was able to pick up notes from them and portray the love interest in a way that best fits my character and me as a person.
And that's good, and that's something that you will work out with your fellow co-star, and in that specific role and relationship. How do we want to portray this? Do we want to add a little bit of humor, a little bit of spice, a little bit of flair to it, and you kind of work it out, and then work within the boundaries of the actual storyline? I can respect that. So Amelia, with you specifically, Mamma Mia is a big Broadway production. How do you change your mentality as a high school theater student? How do you change your mindset and prepare to get into this Broadway style production?
Oh yeah, well, as someone that's like kind of hoping to pursue acting and singing as like a career, and I haven't, it's we have time between our musicals. Obviously, we do once a year. So I'm like constantly working on my endurance and stamina for this show because there's like, and I'm sure RJ can agree too, there's scenes where we're on for about an hour. Like we're on and off stage doing like 3 dance numbers in a row to these like amazing songs. And it's like super upbeat. It's probably the hardest dance show we've done so far, and which is so exciting, but it's also a huge challenge. And like getting into that mindset is like for me, it's just certain steps you can take, and like we're singing every day so that we know how we're, and like not overusing our voice, and warming up properly. I listen to a ton of ABBA on the treadmill, if I'm honest, to make sure I can run during all these songs. Yeah. So it's been a lot, but it's super exciting overall. And I think that everyone in the school, at least, is super excited to have this big Broadway name. So honestly, with that positivity in our hearts, I think we're going to be okay. But it's hard work for sure.
I get it. And that's like some professional athletic style training that you're doing right there, listening to it and running on the treadmill, making sure the breath is right. Because no, I get it, because you have to do a lot. You're in the costumes and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories from rehearsals so far that stand out to you that's just made this whole experience great?
Oh, for sure. Well, what's great about our department is we're all best buds. We all have like there's a ton of love in that room every single day. And and
Kelly first, and then
what?
we can take Kristen.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And I know there's scenes where like the boys have to dance with the girls with a ton of chemistry, and we have to add all these like really interesting elements that we've never done before. But there's so much like genuine like friendship in that room that we honestly just have a great time. And I remember one time we hadn't yet like blocked this huge dance number, but we still wanted to sing it. So it just became like this huge dance party in our little orchestra practice room. It was so much fun, and it's just like, it just feels like a big family. So yeah.
I get it. Yeah, those are the memories. You want to speak on it too?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely one big family. Coming into West Bloomfield, there was a lot of paths I could take, and trying a lot of different things with athletics and wrestling, and then I stumbled upon theater, and I was like, this is a true family. Like I couldn't really ask for better people to be around, and there's not a moment that goes by where we don't laugh. Like it's always jokes, having fun, but when we get to work, we get to work. But there was a part where we had a huge dance party. Everybody's freestyling their own dances and singing the songs together and making great music together on top of acting it's fun in itself. I couldn't really ask for anything better.
That's good that you all get this experience in high school. Make those memories forever, like we said. High school, trust me, it'll come and go very, very quickly. So enjoy it, make those memories, and have a lot of fun doing it. Before we get out of here, please tell everyone how they can access tickets and get to see this lovely play.
Yeah. So tickets go on sale March 28th online, and they're also available at the door when we open last weekend of April 25th through 27th. $17 for the general public and $12 for senior and children. 7 p.m. April 25th, 26th, 27th, and a Saturday matinee at 1 p.m.
Got you. Perfect. Amelia Duffield, Reginald Hayes joining us from the production of Mamma Mia at West Bloomfield High School from the theater department. Thank you both for joining us again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you are interested in those tickets, again, make sure you go to WBHS Theater, spelled THEATRE, arts, plural, .ludus, LUDUS.com if you are interested in those productions. By the way, Tyler, it seems like it's going to be a great time, great event, and the students seem like they are very, very excited to go and check out, actually portray these characters.
They have an impressive group over there at West Bloomfield High School in their theater program. They do great productions, usually 2 a year that are their major productions. This is their last one. You think about this senior class that's put in all that work in the theater program to get to this point, and have done some amazing work over at West Bloomfield High School. So you can always keep up to date on everything happening at the high school as well on the West Bloomfield School District's Facebook page, facebook.com/West Bloomfield Schools, or on WBSD as well. It's a perfect time of the year to enjoy a show at West Bloomfield High School. Got a few weeks until the show begins. Tickets go on sale next week on that same website. You can just follow on wbsd.org for even more information, or on the West Bloomfield School District Facebook page. Kevin, as we talk about remarkable kids at West Bloomfield High School and throughout our local area, it's the time of the year to also recognize them for their accomplishments, but even beyond that, help them out with their future as well.
Yes, absolutely. We actually just recently found out of a scholarship program that are helping local students to actually achieve their dreams and help them achieve certain goals. And one of them being the 2024 Rachel Ikezian Changemaker Scholarship. And it's currently accepting applicants. And I hope I said that right. But joining us to talk a little bit more about this is West Bloomfield Parks Executive Director Kelly Heyer to talk about this scholarship. Thank you for joining us, Kelly.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking time to be here and talk about this program that's actually, or scholarship program, I should say, that's from the West Bloomfield Youth Assistance. Can you first just tell us a little bit more about this scholarship in general?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to share with everyone that I do sit on the, which is a broader part of the Oakland County Youth Assistance Program. And I've volunteered for Oakland County Youth Assistance and other YA programs for years. It's very near and dear to my heart. So this scholarship program is brought to you by the local West Bloomfield board. And Rachel was our office manager and events extraordinaire for I think over 9 years. And she did sadly pass away of cancer. And it left a big hole in our hearts and a big gap in our services. So we thought in order to honor her, we would talk about or put out there a Changemaker Award. And Rachel knew this before she passed. And so we're making it, COVID really stopped us in our tracks to make this scholarship happen. But it's really cool because not only does kids that apply for this opportunity going to walk away with some money, but then they also get the same budget to put into the community. So what this is activating community good. And this can be any idea that students might even be working on now, something new that they've wanted to do. And it is for high school kids up to 11th grade to apply. And this gives them time to take their idea and put it into action.
So first of all, I want to applaud you all for honoring your friend who did, who's no longer with us. It's even greater when you told me that she knew of this before she left us. So that's literally the perfect example of giving someone their flowers while they can smell them. So and to honor her with this is beautiful. Giving these kids an opportunity to not only get their idea out that they feel like will help others, but also give them another push, another source of funding for their post education, I should say. So can you get a little bit into more of the details of the application? What's required for the application? What's the
22nd. It's a Tuesday, I believe. And so that gives kids about one more month to apply. And it is a very simple Google form. And we wanted to make it enough where we capture all the important information. But we didn't want to make it so complicated and difficult that kids were intimidated by the process. So if you're listening, or parents of high school kids, if you hear this show today, please share it with your kiddos. And you can find the link right on our website, wbyyouthassistance.org. So that stands for West Bloomfield, so wbyyouthassistance.org. And the link's right on the homepage. And you can click on the Google link and see the application process, and there's more details on there. But once the applications have been submitted, the committee will review. And Rachel's husband, Steve, does sit on the committee, so he'll see the cool ideas firsthand. And her best friend, Juliet, also sits on the committee. as well as some other board members. So we'll review all the great ideas and then choose somebody to pick as a winner. And then they will have $1,000 budget to activate their idea all this year, the rest of 2024. And we do ask them to check in with us on how the progress is going. We'll even show up and help them out, whatever their idea is. And then we'll celebrate the what activation has happened next year. And then lastly, they'll get rewarded their $1,000 scholarship after they have done their project.
Yay. Such a
Yay.
beautiful thing, such a beautiful process. Talking about the 2024 Changemaker Scholarship, we have Kelly Heyer, Chair of West Bloomfield Youth Assistance Group, by the way, joining us to talk about this scholarship program. So you said there's a part where they get a budget for their actual initiative that they want to, put forth within West Bloomfield community, and then they get another portion of funds towards their scholarship. But with the actual idea and the budget for that specifically, there is a budget that they have to put in there also within that document. So I just want to put that out there. So thank you again for joining us and for sharing that information. Kelly, just again, can you tell people how they can access that scholarship and more information?
Yeah, hop online to wbyyouthassistance.org, and it's right on the homepage, and it is a Google Doc. One page, follow the information and the questions there, and certainly reach out to us if something is tripping you up and you have questions for us. We're here to help. Mm-hmm. And please, if kids are working closely with a project now that they want to expand upon, or if they've been talking about ideas with their neighbors or friends, family, church, their sport groups, anything is possible. And this is a way for us to do good in the world. Rachel was an extraordinary partner for us at Youth Assistance. She was an awesome mom. A great friend to everybody. She had the coolest personality. And at the bottom of all of that, the theme was she was a helper. She did good things for a lot of different groups, and she was always helping out her community. And we want to make sure that kids get inspired by her story and can continue to do good in the world.
Absolutely. And you are doing that with honoring her with this scholarship program again. Thank you so much again, Kelly. We will continue to pass the word. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Bye. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm happy to just be a part of someone who's continuing to spread the word about that program to the greater West Bloomfield community, Tyler.
Yeah, it's a great way to honor Rachel's legacy and help kids in our community inspire their ideas and bring those ideas to action. We've talked about this recently on other fronts with Oakland County and Oakland, with Oakland County and Leadership Oakland coming together on the Acorn to Oak program, doing something very similar to what we're seeing with West Bloomfield Parks, and now in this case the Rachel Keesian Scholarship for 2024 is available for kids right here in our hyperlocal area in the greater West Bloomfield community. wbyyouthassistance.org. Well, we're just past Sunshine Week here throughout our communities, but government transparency is an issue that affects all of us all throughout the year and at every single moment as well. And so it's important to encourage that transparency, especially when that encouragement comes from one of our local leaders. Joining us on the program is Oakland County Commissioner Kristen Nelson from our 10th district, which includes Keego Harbor here in the greater West Bloomfield community. Commissioner Nelson, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Tyler. Good morning.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about a topic I know is very near and dear to your heart as a public servant and as someone that is subject to the Freedom of Information Act and government transparency's necessity in our community. You recently introduced a resolution that supports increased government transparency, particularly at the state level. Tell us about this resolution and what you were really hoping to accomplish or hoping to state through this resolution with the County Commission.
Sure. Essentially, this resolution supports legislation that enhances that public access and transparency, and more specifically, to expand the application of the Freedom of Information Act to the Michigan legislature, the governor, and the lieutenant governor. When we think about transparency, the workings of government in the public light is a must. It's not a maybe, it's not a sometimes, it's not even a whenever possible. And this applies to elected officials representing people at all levels of government, from school boards all the way to Washington, right? So essentially, this resolution is supporting legislation that really focuses on including our legislature and our governor's office in the Freedom of Information requests. Presently, Michigan has consistently pulled toward the bottom of integrity rankings of states that are the most transparent and open in government. And currently, Michigan fully exempts the executive and legislative branches from the Freedom of Information Act, which requires state departments and local governments to provide those documents to the public and to journalists and registered lobbyists upon request. This is government should be transparent. It's good government. It promotes accountability and it provides information for citizens about what their government is doing. And it's a necessity in growing and restoring that trust and confidence in not only our government, but those people who are elected to do it.
And that's an important point you made there too, is that this resolution is in support of greater transparency, particularly through the Freedom of Information Act for our governor and for our state legislators in the House and the Senate at the state level, all of whom are at this point in time are exempt, as you said, from the Freedom of Information Act. But it's important that you said that because the point that you made that was really important is that the Freedom of Information Act is not just for journalists. It's not just for investigators. It's for everyday citizens, too, that are looking for a greater insight into how our government is working, whether it's at their local level in their city or their township or at the highest levels of the state of Michigan, which makes that resolution that much more of a necessity to you. And really, it's something that's supported bipartisanly at the state level. Senator Jeremy Moss, a Democrat, and Senator Ed McBroom previously introducing similar legislation.
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing about transparency and open government, is that it's one of the things that isn't a split partisan issue. Open government and transparency and accountability is good government, despite party affiliation.
Kristen Nelson's with us, Commissioner from Oakland County's Board of Commissioners, District 10, which includes parts of Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Waterford, and West Bloomfield, as well as a little bit of the city of Pontiac. More information can be found on our Oakland County government at oakgov.com. More information from the Board of Commissioners, oakgov.com/BOC. And taking this back to your side of things, as a public servant, as an Oakland County Commissioner, someone that is subject to the Freedom of Information Act in your work, for some politicians, and regardless of their party affiliation, their level of government, being subject to that at certain levels or for certain projects may be something they're not interested in, but or something that maybe they're even afraid of. But for someone like you and for others that support this sort of legislation, now why is that important to you to provide even greater access to this information to your constituents and constituents of various areas across our state?
Sure. When they're taxpayers, right? We're utilizing taxpayer dollars and making decisions on behalf of our taxpayers and essentially those individuals who elected us into office. And the things that we do on any and all levels of government should be open and available for people. A democracy only works when people participate, and having accessibility to information and knowing how to access that information is critical. And let's face it, we live in a time and day where we're really trying to work as elected officials to really restore the trust and the confidence in not just our system, but us as elected leaders and individuals. So it's so important that we as elected officials maintain and walk with that integrity and hold ourselves accountable within transparency. everything we do and say should matter, and it should also be accessible, easily accessible for individuals to be able to obtain that information.
Kristen Nelson with us, Oakland County Board of Commissioners, District 10, which serves us here in the greater West Bloomfield area and some surrounding areas as well. 30 more seconds with you, so I want to ask, where is this resolution at? Where does something like this go from here after that resolution has been introduced?
So that's a great question. The resolution at hand that Senator Moss brought forward, it just passed out of the Senate, and it's now moving towards the House. And upon it passing in the House, it then goes to the governor's desk to be signed. So I'm really excited to see this move through the levels of government. And at the end of the day, it just is a really great step forward in strengthening our government transparency and accountability.
Accountability is the key word there. Thank you very much for your time, Commissioner.
Thank you for having me.
oakgov.com/BOC, the place to go for more information and keep up to date on our Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Kevin, very important we keep up to date on all levels of government as we navigate throughout a busy time in our lives. Kevin, it's been a great week here on the Splash Live. We always have more information coming toward you each and every day. Stay tuned with us. We got a busy afternoon and evening, hopefully a busy weekend. West Bloomfield Lakers basketball, the big rematch with Rockford this afternoon. Our coverage will be on CivicCenterTV.com, on our YouTube page at Civic Center TV, and on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. For our entire team at Civic Center TV, I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Kevin McIntosh. Thanks for joining us on the Splash Live.